leader of the Stasi. This position he kept from 57 until 89, until the wall fell. So for 32 years he ruled this organization. It wasn't talk about retiring at 65 or anything like this then. He then kept on working until he was a bit over 80 years old. The last years it was mainly that he came for a few hours per day. He sat in his office, he read through and signed important documents, and then he could go back to his private area behind his office, and there he could take a warm bath, he could take a nap on his bed, or he could watch one of the two East German television channels that they had then as well. So, yes, interesting is then also what happened with him, of course, after the wall fell. In 1993 he was sentenced to 6 years of prison. And he was actually sentenced to 6 years of prison because of these two police murders from 1931. So 62 years later he was eventually sentenced for these two murders. But in 1993, of course, he was a very old man and he was very confused. He had Alzheimer's disease. So during this trial he was mainly sitting hiding behind a big hat, letting his lawyers talk for him. And due to his health condition he was only 2 years in prison. In the beginning in his own Stasi prison in Hohenschönhausen. But then the conditions in his own prison were seen as too bad for him, so he had to be transferred into another prison. And eventually he died in the year 2000, and he was 92 years old. But Erich Mielke, he was also a huge hunting fan. He loved about hunting in the woods. And when he took over and became the leader of the Stasi, he also took over the old hunting grounds from the old Nazi, Hermann Göring. And these hunting grounds were then here outside of Berlin, and always when important visitors came, when the Soviet leaders came visiting, it was like this, that the #1 priority was hunting. And then first as the second priority came then the political discussions. And you shouldn't underestimate the importance of these hunting excursions, because of course it was during these excursions that you could get to know each other more on a personal level, build up more a personal friendship. And this friendship could then be very important to get the support from the Soviet leaders to also be able to rise in the system in East Germany. A good example is then Erich Honecker when he took over in the 70s as the leader of East Germany. The main reason why he could take over was the fact that he had so good connections with the Soviet Union. And also Honecker was a man who loved hunting. He loved to be out in the woods hunting when it came important visitors. And this is how he built up these good connections. The man had been before him, Walter Ulbricht. He didn't like hunting that much, and this meant that he lost a few of these very important connections then as well, and that's why he didn't have the support anymore as well. So I don't know, in Sweden it's like this today. I think hunting or maybe playing golf, that's the two best way of getting the right connections as well. But I think in East Germany it was hunting, definitely. So here you also see some souvenirs that have been given to Erich Mielke during these excursions. For example, you see a seat here that you can actually put down in the ground, you can clap it out, and you can have a short rest during these long excursions then as well. So maybe it could be quite suitable for you now as well. But so, yes, but another quite interesting topic if you talk about Erich Mielke and East Germany, it was the fact that he loved sports, and sports was very important in East Germany because this was during the Cold War. It was important to symbolize also that this political system was the best system also to create the best athletes. And they were a very successful sporting nation. During the 40 years that East Germany existed, they gathered more than 4,000 medals in Olympic Games, in World Championships and in European Championships. There are two main reasons why they were so successful. The first one was that they tried to find the talents very early. Already when you started school, when you were 6, 7 years old, it would come talent scouts to your school. They would take a look at you, they would make an estimation. If you were seen as talented enough, they would send you to a boarding school where you would train every day in the week with the best trainers. This was the first step, find the talents early. The second step was then of course also the systematic doping that started in early teenage years. Already when you were 13, 14 years old, your trainers started to give you vitamin pills. Actually, in most cases, these vitamin pills were anabolic steroids, and through this doping then for many years, they also became very successful. So. But Erich Mielke also realized, okay, sports, that's a perfect way to make me as a person and my organization more popular. So he founded then the Stasi's own sports club in East Berlin during the 1950s. And this sports club was then called the Sportsvereinigung Dynamo. This Dynamo club also became very successful. You see the Dynamo symbol on several places here, this typical V here, also on the medals